Today we are going to do means of transport of the I.C.S.E. syllabus in geography. I hope through this PPT you will understand the chapter better and will score fabulously. So let's begin. India, means of transport. We start with the modes of transport. We have transport on land, in air and on water. Land via roads and rails. Air through air itself. Water on seas and through inland waterways. And then the most important question. Why is transportation important? Or transportation? So we need transportation. First, it helps in assembling raw materials from different parts of the country, helps in distributing finished products, helps in export and import of industrial goods, brings people closer and disseminates knowledge, contributes to an emergence of a global society, and helps in cultural interaction between people located at distant places. So we go through again from different parts of the country. Helps in distributing finished products, helps in export and import of industrial goods, brings people closer and disseminates knowledge, contributes to an emergence of a global society, and helps in interaction, cultural interaction between people located at distance. We begin transportation with roadways. Roadways in India. When we look at the roads in India, we basically have four main roads: national highways, express highways, state highways, and district roads. National highways. National highways usually have 4 lanes. They connect important cities and are built and maintained by the National Highway Authority of India. 67,000 kilometers comprises national highways in India. The main roads which are constructed and maintained by the central government are known as the national highways. These are main highways running through the length and breadth of the country, connecting major ports, state capitals, large industrial and tourist centers. They facilitate interstate transport and movement of defense personnel and material in strategic areas. National highways in India are designated as NH, followed by the highway number, by which organizations are the national highways maintained. The national highways are maintained by the Central Public Work Department (CPWD) and the National Highways Authority of India (NHAI). When was the National Highways Authority of India constituted? The National Highways Authority of India (NHAI) was constituted in 1988. It is responsible for development, maintenance and highways. It was made operational in February 1995 and is currently undertaking the developmental activities under National Highway Development Project in phases. Let us take a look at two major projects undertaken by National Highway Authority of India. The first one is the Golden Quadrilateral. The Golden Corridor is the largest expressway project in India. It is the first phase of National Highway Development Project. It consists of building 5,846 kilometers of 4 to 6 lane express highways connecting Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata and Chennai, thus forming a sort of quadrilateral of sorts at a cost of Rs 60,000 crores. In January 2008, it was announced that the project will now be expanded to cover 6,500 kilometers. So, which are the cities involved in the Golden Quadrilateral? Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai. And Mumbai connecting back to Delhi. So that kind of forms a quadri or a quadrilateral. The second project is the North-South and East-West corridors. North-South corridor would connect Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir with Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu with a 4,076 kilometer long road. The East-West corridor, on the other hand, would connect Silchar in Assam with the port town of Porbandar in Gujarat with a 3,460 kilometer of road length. So we recap two major projects, the Golden Quadrilateral and the North-South and East-West corridor. Golden Quadrilateral, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai in that order, forming a square. And the North-South corridor, Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir with Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu, a road going from one end to the other. And the East-West corridor connecting Silchar in Assam with Porbandar, the port town in Gujarat. Let us take a look at the slide and observe the quadrilateral Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai and back to Delhi. And then we take a look at the North-South corridor, Srinagar, going right down this green line, this green road, way down to Kanyakumari. And then the East-West corridor, Silchar in the east, going right through to Porbandar in the west. These are the major national highways. Let us take a look at the main economic benefits of the Golden Quadrilateral project. This highway will interconnect many major cities and ports. It will give an impetus to truck transportation throughout India. It will help in the industrial growth of all small towns through which it passes. It will provide vast opportunities for transport of agricultural produce from the hinterland to major cities and ports for export. And most importantly, it will provide job opportunities in its construction as well as increase the demand for cement, steel and other construction material. So what are the main economic benefits? Interconnect many major cities and ports. Give an impetus. Impetus means a growth to truck transport throughout India. It will help in industrial growth of all small towns through which these roads pass. Vast opportunities for transport of agricultural produce from the hinterland to major cities and ports. And definitely provide a lot of job opportunities in construction as well as increase the demand for cement, steel and other construction material. We are looking at National Highway 47, a beautiful highway. As you can observe, there are 4 lanes and we have a broad divider with beautiful flowers in between. We now come to expressways. We find in expressways 6 lanes, a broad divider. You can go at a speed more than 120 kilometers per hour. And there will be toll roads where you need to pay for using these expressways. Express highways constitute the most significant features of land transportation. These highways are cemented 6-lane roads designed to provide smooth, high-speed movement without any on-road obstacle like traffic or speed breakers. We now look at the major express highways of India. The first one being Ahmedabad-Vadodara Expressway. This was India's first expressway that was opened in 2001. It had cut the journey between Ahmedabad and Vadodara to less than an hour. Delhi-Gurgaon Express Highway. This expressway opened for the public on January 23, 2008 and is a part of the Golden Quadrilateral Highway project. This expressway has reduced travel time between Gurgaon and Delhi from 60 minutes to approximately 20 minutes. Some special features of the highway are SOS telephones at every 1.5 kilometers, CCTV surveillance, and a 32-lane toll plaza at the Delhi-Haryana border. We next have the Noida-Greater Noida Expressway. It connects Noida, an industrial suburb area, with Greater Noida, a new suburb, both in Uttar Pradesh. It connects the main commercial centers, 6-lane, concrete, high-speed and tolled expressway. It connects Mumbai with Pune. This highway has reduced travel time between these two commercial western Indian cities from 4 to 5 hours on the old National Highway 4 to 2 to 3 hours on the express highway. Its special features are 6-lane concrete highway with a 7-meter wide divider, an extra lane provided on each side as a hard shoulder, separate tunnels for traffic in each direction, complete fencing to avoid humans or animals crossing the expressway, no two-wheeler, three-wheeler or tractor vehicles are allowed, and provision of petrol pumps, motels, workshops, toilets, emergency phones, first aid and breakdown vans are available. While going through roads, we just take a little break and take a look at the milestones or the kilometer stones which we can see on a state highway or a district. You can even see here there is a difference between them. Now, if we observe this milestone, the first one, where do you think I would be? I would be at Lakhimpur because it's showing 0 kilometers. And if I travel further, I would go to Bariach, 130 kilometers away. The second district road milestone we can see is Cochin. Okay. 20 kilometers away, and Munnar 65 kilometers away from where this milestone is. The state highways are constructed and maintained by the state government. These highways provide linkages with the national highways and the district headquarters, important towns, tourist centers, and minor ports within the state. District roads are important roads within a district connecting areas of production with markets. It also connects taluka headquarters and rural areas to district headquarters within the rural roads or village roads. The rural roads in India form a substantial portion of the road network. These roads constitute about 80% of the total road length in the country. Most of the rural roads were initially sand roads, meaning kacha roads. They provided vital links by moving the agricultural produce and the finished products of small-scale industries from the producing centers to the marketing centers. Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana PMGSY, or also known as the Prime Minister's Rural Road Schemes, launched in December 2000 by the Government of India to provide connectivity to rural areas as a part of its poverty eradication measure. For its implementation, the government had set up uniform technical and management standards to ensure sustainable management of the rural roads. The scheme is to be implemented in phases. At the initial phase, attempts were made to cover all inhabitations with a population of 1,000. We now come to other roads, mainly border roads and international roads. The Border Road Organization was set up in 1960 for strengthening defense preparedness and accelerating economic development through improvement of roads along the northeastern boundaries of the country. This organization has constructed the world's highest road from Manali in Himachal Pradesh to Leh in Kashmir at an average altitude of 4,270 meters. Apart from the construction and maintenance of roads in strategically sensitive areas, the Border Road Organization undertakes snow clearance in high altitude areas and construction of airfields, construction of buildings and permanent bridges. The international highways. These highways were constructed through finances provided by the World Bank. Their main purpose is to promote friendly relationships with the neighboring countries. There are two categories of such highways. The main arterial routes connecting the capitals of the neighboring countries and the routes joining main cities, ports, etc. with arterial network. As you can see in the picture, a nice, very long international highway can be seen. Advantages of roadways. Roadways are the harbingers of economic development. The main advantages of using road transport are as follows. Requires less capital investment than airways or railways. Provides flexible service by adjusting routes and timings. It is through roads that every village and hamlet can be reached. Roads can be constructed even in areas of difficult terrain and where railway lines do not exist. Roadways acts as a feeder to other modes of transport such as railways, water and air. Roads offer door-to-door service and help farmers to move their perishable products quickly to the market. The movement of goods is safe or rather safer through roads as the chances of pilferage are lesser than in railways. So what are the disadvantages of roadways? The disadvantages are roadways are dependent on seasons, unfit and unsafe during rainy season. Many roads are unsafest and therefore not suitable for regular vehicular traffic. Chances of accidents and breakdowns are more. Roads are not properly maintained. Poor road surfaces cause heavy loss in wear and tear of vehicles. There are multiple checkposts, toll tax, octroi duties, collection points on roads which bring down the speed of the traffic, waste time and cause irritation to the commuters. Unsuitable for long distance and bulky goods. Comparatively less organized, irregular and unreliable. The rates charged are unstable and unequal. Why do the northern plains have the densest network of roads? This is simply because the land is flat and the soil is fertile. The agrarian economy is developed. Density of population is high, which is associated with urbanization and industrialization. State the disadvantages of laying roads in the northeast states of India. The northeast states have a rugged landscape, thick forest, swift streams, and basically a backward economy. We now go to the railways in India, the second mode of transportation. A few interesting facts. Largest network in the world. Daily 14,000 trains and 11 million passengers. 7,500 railway stations. 7,800 locomotives. 40,000 coaches. Employs 1.6 million people and therefore is the largest employer in the world. The railways constitute the principal mode of transportation for freight and passengers. It brings together people from the furthest corners of the country for conducting business, sightseeing, pilgrimage, education, etc. The railways were introduced to India in 1853 when a line was constructed from Mumbai to Thane, covering a distance of 34 kilometers. In 1951, the systems were nationalized as one unit, becoming one of the largest networks in the world. Indian Railways operate both long distance and suburban railway systems. Many cities have their own suburban networks to cater to commuters. Currently, suburban networks operate in Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Delhi, Hyderabad, Pune, and Lucknow. The last three cities do not have suburban track but share the track with long distance trains. New Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, and Mumbai have their own metro networks. Suburban trains that handle commuter traffic are mostly electric multiple units (EMUs). They have usually 9 coaches, sometimes 12, and now even 15 to handle rush hour traffic. Now let's take a look at the different gauges used in the railways in India. We basically have three: broad gauge, meter gauge, and narrow gauge. And the name says it all. Narrow gauge, the space between the tracks, 0.76 to 0.61 meters. Meter gauge, as I said, the name says it all, 1 meter. Broad gauge, 1.67 meters. Usually we find the narrow gauge lines in hilly regions. Meter gauge around India, usually diesel engines go on meter gauge. And broad gauge, we are now going more towards broad gauge electrification, electrified engines. A recap on gauges with a little more information. Broad gauge, meter gauge, and narrow gauge come under the track system. It is based on the width of the track. The Indian railways are divided into three categories. Broad gauge, the distance between the rail is 1.676 meter. Almost all the main routes are broad gauge. Broad gauge system links major ports of India with the interior towns and industrial centers and handles 85% of all total good traffic in terms of tons kilometers. Broad gauge railway lines on the west coastal lowlands is known as the Konkan railway line is an engineering marvel of the Indian railways. It is 760-kilometer long rail route connecting Roha in Maharashtra to Mangalore in Karnataka. It crosses 146 rivers, streams, nearly 2,000 bridges and 91 tunnels. It also passes through 6.5-kilometer long tunnel, which is Asia's largest tunnel. The states of Maharashtra, Karnataka and Goa are partners in this project. Meter gauge, the distance between the rails is 1 meter. Narrow gauge, the distance between the rails is 0.762 meters and 0.6110 meters. It is mainly confined, as I told you earlier, to the hilly areas. If you take a look closely at this picture, you will see two gauges, the narrow gauge. This is a picture of a meter gauge. We go through this again. Broad gauge connects all major cities and ports, mostly electric engines, some diesel. Meter gauge connects major cities to smaller towns, mostly diesel engines. Narrow gauge connects places in hilly regions, thermal and diesel engines. As you can see, the tracks, they're very narrow. When we take a look at the distribution of railway network in India, the railway network is mostly dense in the Indo-Gangetic plain. It is somewhat medium in the plateau region and quite scarce in hilly and desert areas. This is a list of the railways in India and where their headquarters lie. Northern Railway, New Delhi. Northeastern Railway, Gorakhpur. Northeastern Frontier Railway, Maligaon, Guwahati. Eastern Railway, Kolkata. Southeastern Railway, Kolkata. South Central Railway, Sikandrabad. Southern Railway, Chennai. Central Railway, Mumbai, Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus. Western Railway, Mumbai, Churchgate. South Western Railway, Hubli. North Western Railway, Jaipur. West Central Railway, Jabalpur. North Central Railway, Allahabad. Southeast Central Railway, Bilaspur. East Coast Railway, Bhubaneswar. East Central Railway, Hajipur. And Konkan Railway, Navi Mumbai. What are the advantages of railways? Cheap mode of transport, transportation of bulk goods over long distances, long and comfortable travel, can be used by many people at a time. What are the disadvantages of the railways? Rail transport is inflexible. They lack flexibility of routes. Train tracks cannot be laid in every region of the country, like in hilly areas or remote forested areas. Train travel can be long and tedious, especially when compared to air travel. Train travel definitely does not provide door-to-door service. More time and labor intensive in terms of booking of tickets and taking delivery of goods. What are the economic importance of railways? Railways facilitates trade, urbanization, agriculture and tourism. Railways provide employment and promote national integration. What are the current problems faced by Indian Railways? Tremendous pressure of traffic, unsafe due to poor maintenance, inefficient image of railways, obsolete machineries, track and equipment, heavy consumption of electricity, unskilled and untrained workforce. Mode of transportation, waterways. Waterways in India. Water transport. India is endowed with an extensive network of waterways in the form of rivers, canals, backwaters, creeks, and a long coastline accessible through the seas and oceans. There are two broad categories of waterways: inland waterways and coastal or ocean waterways. Inland waterways of India. Total navigable length 14,500 kilometers, suitable for mechanized crafts. On rivers 5,200 kilometers, canals 4,000 kilometers. Handles only 0.1% of total inland traffic in India. Waterways are developed by the Indian Waterway Authority of India. Inland waterways include rivers, canals, backwaters and creeks which are deep enough to allow the ships and boats to navigate safely. These waterways must be also free of barriers such as waterfalls and rapids. The Inland Waterways Authority has declared three inland waterways as national highways. National Waterway Number 1 NW1, National Waterway Number 2 NW2, National Waterway Number 3 NW3. We take a look at this map showing important waterways. If you look very closely next to the Brahmaputra, river Brahmaputra is National Waterway 2. Then if you take a look at the river Ganga, coming right down, we see National Waterway 1. And if you go down a little further, you can see National Waterway 5 and National Waterway 4. And the last one, the West Coast Canal, National Waterway 3. National Waterway number 1 or NW1. It comprises the Ganga Bhagirathi Hooghly river system which connects Haldia, Kolkata, Farakka, Munger, Patna, Varanasi and Allahabad. It stretches to more than 1,620 kilometers of potentially navigable waterways. It is navigable by mechanized boats up to Patna and by ordinary boats to Haridwar. National Waterway number 2, NW. The river Brahmaputra connecting Dhubri to Sadia, stretching to about 891 kilometers, was declared a national waterway in the year 1988. National Waterway number 3 or NW3 runs from Kollam to Kottapuram, comprises 168 kilometers of West Coast Canal along with Champakara Canal and Udyog Mandal Canal. It was declared a national waterway in 1993. It is one of the most navigable and tourism potential areas in India and has much to offer to the potential tourist. National Waterway 6, Lakhipur Bhanga of River Barak River of Northeast region, shortest waterway. Besides these national waterways, the Inland Waterways Authority has also identified 10 other inland waterways which could be upgraded. The state of Kerala is famous for its backwaters, which not only provide cheap means of transport, the Nehru Trophy boat race, Valankali, is also held in these. Inland waterways are important, but ocean routes are also important. Ocean routes handle 95% of Indians' foreign trade by volume and 70% by value. Besides international trade, these routes are also used for transportation between islands and the rest of the country. Factors affecting inland water transport. Regular flow of water is required. Silting of riverbeds reduces the depth of the water and desilting is a costly affair. There should be enough demand to make inland waterways economically viable. Let us take a look at the major ports in India: Kolkata, Paradip, Vishakhapatnam, Ennore, Chennai, Tuticorin, Kollam, Kochi, Mangalore, Mormugao, Jawaharlal Nehru Port or Nhava Sheva Port, Mumbai, and Kandla. Major ports on the eastern coast: Kolkata, the capital of West Bengal. It is a riverine port located on the bank of the Hooghly. It handles diversified commodities coming from Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. Haldia, again in West Bengal, this port has been developed on the river Hooghly to relieve pressure on Kolkata. So this is a satellite port to Kolkata. Paradip is in Odisha. It is located on the coast of Odisha and handles iron ore and coal. Vishakhapatnam is in the state of Andhra Pradesh. It is India's deepest landlocked port, handling crude oil and petroleum products. Chennai in Tamil Nadu is the second largest port in terms of volume of traffic handled and is the oldest artificial harbour on the east coast of India. It handles petroleum products, crude fertilizers, iron ore, and dry cargo. The Ennore port is located about 24 kilometers north of Chennai port. It is the first port in India which is a public company. It is a corporate entity, Ennore Port Limited, and not a port trust like other major ports of India. It is a satellite port meant to decongest and improve the environmental quality at the busy Chennai port. Tuticorin is another important major port in Tamil Nadu. This port is located on the east coast of India. It handles mainly coal, salt, edible oil, dry cargo, and petroleum products. Major ports on western coast of India. Kandla in Gujarat. It is a tidal port and a free trade zone located at the eastern end of the Rann of Kutch. It handles crude oil, petroleum products, edible oil, food grains, salt, cotton, etc. Mumbai in Maharashtra is a natural harbour on the west coast and is also the biggest port of India. It handles maximum traffic, over the fifth of total traffic of ports, which includes mineral oil and dry cargo. Jawaharlal Nehru Port or Nhava Sheva Port near Mumbai is the biggest ultra-modern seaport of Mumbai. It is equipped with modern facilities, having mechanized container berths for handling dry cargo and service berths. Marmagaon in Goa is a natural harbour situated at the entrance of the Zuari estuary in Goa. It occupies fifth position in terms of total traffic handled. New Mangalore port in Karnataka. It is located on the west coast of India, handles the export of iron ore of Kurdemukh and imports of petroleum products, fertilizers, edible oils, etc. Cochin in Kerala is a natural harbour. It handles the export of tea, coffee and spices and imports of petroleum oil and fertilizers. What are the factors affecting water transport? Presence of perennial rivers, presence of waterfalls, cataracts in the course of the river are a hindrance to development of waterways, needs for desilting which are costly, reduction in volume of water when the river is diverted. Coastal waterways in India, 12 major ports and 187 minor ports, handles 95% of India's foreign trade, handled by Shipping Corporation of India. What are the advantages of waterways? Environmental friendly, cheap and fuel efficient, ideal for transport of bulky goods, promotes coastal industries, provides employment, promotes tourism, requires less capital to establish. What are the disadvantages of waterways? It depends on weather condition. It needs long traveling hours which causes seasickness. Water transport is limited to the areas where rivers are navigable and ocean routes exist. The last mode of transport, airways in India. Types of airlines available, international airlines, domestic airlines, Vayudoot, Pavan Hans, the helicopter service. International airlines, Air India, the only international airline, owns 159 aircrafts. Most international traffic prefers international airlines. We have 12 major international airports. Let us take a look at all our international airports in India. The one in orange is managed by Airport Authority of India, green Civil Enclave, and the pink others. So we can take a look. Guwahati, Kolkata, Amritsar, Delhi, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai and Thiruvananthapuram. And then the civil enclave is Goa, Bangalore, and in others we have Cochin. Domestic airlines, 89 domestic airports. Indian Airlines is the major air carrier, operates 5 to 7 domestic stations, 17 international stations. Advantages of airways. Fastest mode of transport, indispensable for business class, indispensable for defense purposes, relatively free of physical barriers, possible to reach remote parts of the earth, good for perishable goods. Disadvantages of airways. The main disadvantages of airways are air transport is costly. It depends on weather conditions. Flights are often delayed due to bad weather conditions. Air transport is run on petroleum, which is a non-renewable source of energy. Air transport can carry small tonnage, but it has high freight charges. Vayudut was set up in 1981 to augment links with remote and inaccessible areas which were not covered by Indian Airlines. Pavan Hans is the helicopter service operating in hilly areas and is widely used by tourists in northeastern sector. Besides, Pavan Hans Limited mainly provides helicopter services to the petroleum sector and for tourism. What are the advantages of Pavan Hans? Provides emergency services in areas affected by floods, earthquakes and other calamities used by tourists. What are the advantages of Vayudut? Vayudut also has the same advantages. Provides emergency services in areas affected by floods, earthquakes and other natural calamities, and also used by tourists